Good afternoon, everyone. It is Saturday, and that means it's Chat with Mac. We're glad to have all of you. It's been a interesting week, and we're glad that we're actually resting today. For those of you that have been watching our videos, we're so appreciative for your input, for your questions, and please continue to send those in. And for those of you that are new to what we do, welcome, welcome, welcome. How's it going, boss?
Oh, going great. I think I'm going to catch up on some sleep. I was actually kind of dozing off watching TV.
Right. Okay. I gotta figure. I've been ripping and running now. Man, it's not like it used to be. I hit 46, and good lord, man, it's like I'm not even a nap person. And as of late, I'm like, God, do I need a nap? It's catching up with me, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, weekends it's okay to take a nap on weekends. I don't do it very often, but today was one of those days. It was just I think I was going to watch something and then kind of doze off in front of it.
Right.
But yeah, so I mean, other than that, how's your week going on? I know you've had a couple of busy weeks there, so.
Yeah, today is one of the more quiet weekends, just really trying to recoup strength because I've had these health things. So today was kind of easy, and I'm happy for it. If I'm being honest, I'm really happy for an easy Saturday for a change. So
that's good. That's good. Yeah.
Hey, so let's talk about something that's going on in the world, in the technology world, and you've really touched on this a few times, and now it's becoming more pronounced, if you will, and that's private equity companies acquiring MSPs or technology firms. Or, well, in this specific case, it's Google that announced that they're going to be buying Mandiant. And for those of you that remember, was that this year with the whole SolarWinds thing, or was that last year?
No, that was last year.
That was last year. Mandiant was the one that found the SolarWinds hack, and I want to get your thoughts on this because you've talked about this a few times as far as these companies that are seeing MSPs, that are seeing technology companies and us snatching them up, and this Mandiant deal, $5.4 billion. Good lord.
Yeah. So my perspective is more from an MSP side. There is a lot of private equity money flowing into MSP acquisitions, mergers, all kinds of stuff. I mean, the industry is just crazy right now. So, when all this money is flowing into MSP, which, MSP industry is a technology industry, of course, that just means that there's a lot more mergers and acquisitions going on in the technology industry as a whole. And this is part of that deal. So it was, I don't know if people remember, if people even know this. I know it because I'm on the inside, but back last year when the SolarWinds issue happened, the company that found out about that SolarWinds hack was Mandiant. Mandiant used to be made up of the Mandiant side and then the FireEye side, right? So they had a specific product that they used to make that was in the FireEye, under the FireEye brand. So back, I think it was like around early fall, FireEye split up. So FireEye was sold to Symphony Technology Group, and that kind of happened around the time when, I don't know if people recall, when Kaseya got hacked. So there was a lot of buying activity for FireEye, because I know, one of the things that Kaseya did was they started offering FireEye product to a lot of the MSPs who were using the Kaseya VSA product that was impacted by that hack. So and then of course FireEye split off, and that left Mandiant. And the thing is, Mandiant by itself, it's a a public company. And then for a while, Microsoft was looking to acquire Mandiant. So they were looking really close at Mandiant, wanting to acquire it. And all of a sudden, Google picked them up, and it was just a deal that it was just very good for Mandiant, and it just made sense. So why would Google want to acquire Mandiant, a security company, when Google really does not sell any products, right? Any security products. Google does not, like you buy a Google Chromebook, it doesn't have any security component on there. So why would Google want to buy Mandiant? Well, the reasoning behind buying Mandiant is Google provides a lot of security options on the cloud side, because Google is really a cloud company. And Mandiant does not really have a product that installs, kind of like the FireEye product. They don't have FireEye anymore. That was already sold, right? Mm-hmm. So now Mandiant is just a cloud security team, and that's what Google bought. Is there is a lot of expertise in Mandiant and their team for relating as it relates to security. They're the ones. That's where all the talent is, right? So basically, what Google is doing is acquiring that security talent, so they can then start to integrate it on the back end in their cloud products, just to keep everybody safe. So Microsoft had the same idea in mind, which was if they could acquire Mandiant, they would use it in their on their cloud products for additional security. So now it's Mandiant is doesn't have the FireEye component to it. So Google came in, made an offer. It was very good. So that's what's going to happen. So now we are going to see. We don't see any notion of things slowing down as far as private equity goes, right? So, I mean, right now, we thought we would start getting into the slowdown period, but we don't see it. I'm seeing even in the MSP world, there are companies merging, acquiring other companies. Even if you take the private equity component out of it, there's still a lot of activity going on. So probably that's a sign of the industry just maturing. The whole MSP industry maturing, and once that industry matures, there's a lot of consolidation. So maybe there's that component to it. But yeah, I mean, this was kind of interesting. Google acquiring Mandiant, whereas they had already sold FireEye, earlier in the fall. And by the way, as far as the numbers go, I think FireEye was sold for about, if I'm not mistaken, like around 1 point some odd billion, if I recall. I think 1.2 or 1.7, somewhere in there. And then Google is acquiring Mandiant. Now Mandiant has a valuation of $23 per share, and Google is acquiring Mandiant for I want to say, was it
5.4?
5.4, so 5.4 billion. So yeah, the FireEye group was sold to Symphony Technology Group, and that was for 1.2 billion. And now Mandiant is selling to Google for 5.4 billion, and that's a all cash deal. And by the way, since we're talking about Google acquiring another company and all this going on, one of the things that comes to mind is people talking about Google, and then they start comparing Google with Microsoft, and because cloud products, right? So some people use the G Suite, the Google cloud products, and some people use the Microsoft, the Office 365 / Microsoft 365 products. So there's always that comparison going on. And so I get asked this question, and this is how I try to explain to people. When it comes to selecting a product for your email/cloud storage, would you rather choose Google or Microsoft? So if cost was the only factor, then you would probably choose Google. You can't beat the price. Google is just cheap. But if security and enterprise toolset is a requirement, then you will choose Microsoft. Now, here's why. Google started from the consumer side of things, and primarily, how does Google make money? That's what you need to look at is how is Google making money? Google makes money by placing ads on the internet. Google Ads. That's how they make money. That's what's important to Google is Google Ads. How do we know this? If you are using any Google product, if you need support, you need to talk to a human, good luck. You almost never get to talk to a human. It's always some kind of digitized interaction going on. Now, if you are a Google Ads customer, you are selling ads on Google, you can pick up the phone and call your rep, your dedicated rep. You can talk to them right away. So we know that's how Google makes money, and that's where they're providing that awesome support. They're providing that human touch. Hey, if you need help with Google Ads, you can call this number. But if you need help with anything else, we'll get to it when we can. Microsoft, on the other hand, is coming from the enterprise side of things, right? So Microsoft makes money by selling Microsoft 365, the cloud technologies. So yeah, they're not cheap. They're not as cheap as Google, but they are how Microsoft makes money, how the enterprise makes money. So it is important to them. You can get support. You can talk to people. The other component, what I'm alluding to here is, if Google is making money on ads, how are they going to display these ads? They are going to want to mine your data to be able to show you the ads. That's how Google knows what you're thinking or what you're doing research on, and then you start seeing these ads because Google is going through the data that you're accessing, and Google knows what you're trying to search for, and then it starts showing you ads. Now, to be able to do that, they need to be able to see what kind of data is flowing. On the other side, Microsoft, that's not their primary means of making money. So they have no intention of mining your data to show you those ads, because they're not showing you those ads. So that's not how Microsoft makes money. Now, as far as their technology goes, there is going to be a happy medium somewhere in the middle, right? Google coming from the consumer space, Microsoft coming from the enterprise space, they're going to meet probably somewhere in the middle, which is a happy place for everybody. And the market will dynamically find this place for us, right? But the bottom line is, if you are only basing your purchase decision on money, go with Google. Nobody's going to come close to Google's price. But if you're looking at feature set, security, and enterprise tool set, go with Microsoft. Ain't nobody going to get to Microsoft.
So, but wasn't, I know we've talked about this in the past. Isn't Google trying to slightly penetrate the enterprise space? And maybe I'm thinking of AWS. Maybe I'm getting too confused, but I could have swore it was Google that was trying to make it a little bit more competitive as far as not just the cheaper pricing, but the actual features within their enterprise suite. Or maybe I just have it wrong.
Yeah, no. So Google has been trying very hard because they have the technology, the cloud-based technology already. So yeah, they're not going to leave any money on the table, right? So if they can market to the enterprise community, they're going to do that, and that's what the G Suite is about. Is they're targeting like more of the smaller companies out there. Like you won't see Department of Justice using Google.
Well, that's a
You
good
know,
point.
you won't see the Shells and the Enron, or the, I mean, I'm saying Enron, so you won't see the Shells and the Exxons of the world using Google. They're all on Microsoft. So yeah, Google is going to try to penetrate that market, and that's what I said. You know, Google is coming from the consumer side, but they want to move into that enterprise space. Microsoft is coming from the enterprise side, and they want to move into that consumer space. So there's some happy medium in the middle there that both companies can kind of meet at. As far as the, you mentioned AWS. So AWS has, their cloud offering, which is, compute, basically the cloud compute cycles, which Google is way down on that. So, AWS is making the most money in cloud compute. Microsoft is up next. Now, I say make money because there's a difference between who makes money and who invests in those technologies. So AWS is making the most right now because they're the pioneers. They're the ones who started this. Microsoft is number two, and Google is a way number three. I mean, Google is way down, and then of course all of the others come after that. And there's a bunch of other providers in there. But the bottom line, in this case, is Google wants to move into this enterprise space.
Yeah.
You have to have technologies that will that will cater to this space, and I think this Mandiant, with their cloud security, that talent will really help Google in that area where they can now start having better, more secure products on the enterprise side of things. And we're talking about cloud products, right? We're not talking about an individual product that Google is not going to come up with some kind of an antivirus or something that they're going to sell you. That's not going to happen. Google is more focused on the cloud side of things. And I think this acquisition really plays there. It just happened to be that, earlier FireEye split off from Mandiant, and it's a good product. FireEye is a good product, but the thing is now it's the private equity firm owns it. It's not a part of Mandiant anymore. So we're going to see a lot more M&A going on in this space, in the security space as well. At the end of the day, I think it's a good thing. I mean, Mandiant is definitely going to be able to do a lot more things when they have Google's backing, right?
I see.
From a money perspective. There's, Google products are going to get better, safer, more security focused. For users, it's a win-win situation.
So I want to read something that Kevin Mandiant said, CEO of Mandiant. He said, in a threat landscape where criminals, nation states, and plain bad actors bring harm to good people, the acquisition would improve his company's ability to respond. By combining our expertise and intelligence with the scale and resources of Google Cloud, we can make a far greater difference in preventing and countering cyber attacks while pinpointing new ways to hold adversaries accountable. This is what Mandiant said. Now, something that stuck out to me, read that. I mean, it's a simple thing, but he was saying something. Well, for one, it seems it really doesn't. If I were Microsoft, and I'm on the other side of that, and let me ask you this: do I look at this as a potential threat, even though? And I mean a threat to the market share is what I should say. Is this something that Microsoft would look at and say, this could be a little bit, this could keep us awake at night as far as their market share is concerned?
Not really, because now, keep in mind when one of these larger enterprises take down a bad element, it helps everybody. It helps the entire industry. Like earlier this year, Microsoft busted a hacker group I believe it was in Eastern Europe. But so busting that hacker group, it helped everybody, right? It when a hacker group goes away, it helps everybody. So I don't think Microsoft is going to lose any sleep over it. There's a bunch other companies out there that they can acquire if they wanted to. Mandiant is just one, but there's so many others out there. And now keep in mind, Microsoft internally has quite a good team when it comes to security. I mean, they have a lot of sensors out there already, that kind of tie back into their AI model, and which is how they provide enterprise level security in Office 365, and also threat detection in Microsoft Defender as well. And I'm not talking about the Microsoft Defender that comes free with Windows. I'm talking about Microsoft Defender with ATP, Advanced Threat Protection. That is a paid component, and that ATP component is something that looks at behaviors and automatically identifies what can be a potential threat, and they've got a very good service around that. So ATP, you can enable it for your cloud services at Microsoft, or you can enable it for your regular Windows computers, and it works very well. So I don't think it's going to keep Microsoft awake at night. It's really not that. I think what's going to happen is Mandiant is going to really going to be the one who really gets the most bang out of it, and that is having access to all these sensors that Google already has out, right? So Google collects a lot of data. Having access to that data to be able to analyze from a security perspective, it's going to be huge. So for Mandiant, it's going to be great from that perspective. But then on the other hand, they're not really going to be going out and selling to any additional companies. They're already sold. All they got to do is do a good job at what they do, and that's it. Google is gonna, use them internally in their cloud platform. So that's it's a win-win situation there. But as far as the rest of the industry, I don't think it really is going to keep anybody up at night, because if one company takes down a certain bad element, it helps the entire industry. So I think that's good.
And this is my final question on this, because this is something you kind of touched on. How much more of this do you think is going to have? Do you think this at some point is going to level off, where these individual entities are snatching up smaller companies, or do you feel that because of the current landscape, we're going to maybe see some even quote unquote blockbuster takeovers at some point as far as cloud security companies are concerned?
Yeah, I think the materials, the M&As, the mergers and acquisitions are going to keep happening for the foreseeable future. In the near future, I'm thinking we're going to be gaining more steam, but then eventually, like any industry that matures, it is going to level off, right? So it's just that the whole IT industry is maturing now, and that's why we're seeing a lot of this. And of course, there's a lot of other elements too. The way the economy is, what happened, what Russia did, there's just so many different components to it. But on top of that, this happens to be the industry that is just now maturing, and so there's a lot of it was just a perfect storm for this. So I mean, I'm going to say that for the near future, we're going to see more and more M&As, and then later, in the long term, it will level off like any industry. Since the beginning of time, it will level off, but I don't think we're going to level off anytime soon.
But this isn't going to put fear in the hearts of bad guys. I mean, bad guys are going to continue to.
No. So I don't think the bad guys really think about what the repercussions are going to be, because if they did, they wouldn't do the bad things. I mean, it's they're like, hey, let's make a quick buck and disappear. That's what they want to do, is make that quick buck and disappear. The best option for them is just not get noticed anyway. But then, of course, greed gets in the way, and they make some big waves, and companies like this start putting more resources into it, and some of them get caught.
Yeah,
So they got to pay the price at some point. But
at some point, yeah.
But I think that's as far as Mandiant goes, I think it's good for the industry. Mandiant will have a lot more resources now, even though the fruits of their labor will be mostly enjoyed by Google. But I think it helps the entire industry. And I don't think anybody else is going to be losing sleep over it. There's a bunch of other security providers, companies out there. But yeah, Mandiant did have very good talent. And one of those things that, I've talked about before, security talent is getting harder to come by.
Yeah.
You almost anytime you need to hire somebody in the security field, you got to poach them from somebody. There are no security people, there is no security expertise sitting anywhere idle. You have to poach it from somebody. But that's the way the industry is right now.
I think that's the way most businesses are for the most part. There's somebody's poaching somebody. So
yeah. But that was a good question there, Mac. It's it's one of those things that there's a lot of things going on in the industry. There's a lot of turmoil. Every time we think, okay, now, it'll be now time for things to level off, we see another big thing happen, and I don't think we're going to see it level off anytime soon.
Good Lord, yeah.
So I think with that, Mac, we'll call it a day. Keep a short video. It's 29 minutes already, so.
Always goes so quickly every time. Never fails.
Yeah, but everybody have a great day. It's awesome having your attention for a few minutes, and we'll keep you ahead of what's going on in the industry. And Mac, appreciate you taking the time on a Saturday.
I love it.
Yeah, I enjoy
I enjoy it. Yeah,
this. It's always fun, and the feedback. I love the feedback that we get from people viewing this, and from good, bad, ugly, all of it. So keep that feedback coming.
Please
let us know if there are certain topics that you want us to talk about, and we'll try to make it happen.
All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Have a good one.
Bye.